Good evening, my fellow Carthaginians. This is your host, Mr. Christensen, and welcome to the second of what I'm probably just going to dub unplanned, unattempted pilot episode week, where I'm going to try a new kind of video and we're going to see how it goes. So, yesterday we did an On This Day in History video. Today, we're going to do a historical movie review with one of my personal favorite movies, Pearl Harbor from 2001. So, what we're going to talk about a little bit is a little bit about the movie itself, who's in it, and something I do want to address with you all is the historical accuracy of those movies. Because while they may be based around a historical event, it doesn't always mean that it is a historically accurate movie. So, the movie Pearl Harbor came out in 2001, starring Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett, and Kate Beckinsale, as you can see from the screen here. I will point out, however, all three of their characters were not actual historical figures, but there are some characters in the movie who were based on actual people. For example, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, Petty Officer Dory Miller, was a real person. He did actually serve in the U.S. Navy, and he did actually serve with distinction during the war. Now, we see the movie pick up in about 1920s, 1930s or so with Rafe and Danny. But we also followed them as they join into the United States Air Force up through the battle at Pearl Harbor, which, for those of you in U.S. history, we've already gone over Pearl Harbor at this point, and for those of you in world history, we'll be going over that in probably a few weeks. Now, both of our main characters, Rafe and Danny, joined as pilots. Rafe, being a very eager one, actually joins the English Royal Air Force as a part of the English Expeditionary Force to join up prior to the United States even joined the war. Now, that is true. We did actually have U.S. servicemen join British and French forces prior to the United States joining the war, mainly because they believed that we should have been in the war, but we hadn't joined yet. We wanted to maintain that sense of neutrality. Now, that being said, we see Danny and our main love interest, Kate Beckinsale, who was a nurse, being assigned to the naval base at Pearl Harbor. I will point out, historically speaking, at this period in history, Pearl Harbor was still a territory of the United States and had not become a state yet. It would not become a state until the 1950s. There, they go about their business saying, oh, they're all safe in the Pacific, leading up to, and we see clips of this throughout the film, of Japanese forces preparing for an invasion of Japan, which are actually historically accurate. It is said Japanese forces built an entire scale model of Pearl Harbor down to the specific ships to where they were moored to practice. Now, there are a number of great resources out there that you can look at, some of which I do have provided in the supplementary video playlist as well on World War II, whether it be from the U.S. History playlist or the World War II World History playlist, both of which are available to you on this channel. Now, I will say, out of this entire movie, the most accurate part of it is the actual attack itself. It depicts really well that attack on December 7th, 1941, in the early hours on a Sunday morning. And we see the destruction of multiple ships in the fleet and the response from the nurses, our primarily female characters, as well as a direct response by the U.S. military. We do also have a couple clips of President FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who I can't remember off the top of my head who portrayed him, but did also include some of that information that were based on actual conversations had in the White House. Now, a little bit about the attack itself. It occurred in the early hours of a Sunday morning in December of 1941. The Japanese struck without warning at about 8 a.m. on a Sunday, basically catching the United States Navy completely off guard, sinking multiple ships, including the USS Arizona, and killing over 1,000 servicemen. Now, that being said, the events that take place after the film, while they are loosely based, after the Battle of Pearl Harbor, are loosely based on historical events, but they did not happen immediately right after. This includes the Doolittle raids. So, Alec Baldwin actually plays Lieutenant Commander Doolittle, a real person that we'll talk about in class, who led a series of pilot raids over Japan following the attack on Pearl Harbor. But they took place almost a year later. They did not take place immediately after. Now, if I could, I'd put up some sort of spoiler warning. If you don't want to know the end of the movie, you might want to click off the video. But Danny and Rafe crash land in China, which was very much trying to stay out of the war and actually had been taken over by the Japanese. We see actually Rafe and Danny being taken prisoner, Danny subsequently being killed. Also, add into the mix, if you like romance movies, this is also kind of a romance movie as well, with a love triangle between these three individuals here. Now, that being said, the movie runs about 3 hours and 4 minutes long. I personally own the director's edition of this movie, so it is very long movie. But like I said, in terms of historical accuracy, most of our main characters are fictionalized. They are not real people. They're just simply placed in this historical event. That being said, though, if I were to give this a out of 5 star ranking in terms of historical accuracy, I would give it a 3 for the battle itself, the tech being used, and the terminology. In terms of was this a true blockbuster? This would get a 5 out of 5 stars for me. But that being said, whenever I'm talking about a film to you guys and it's about a historical event, I'm always going to make sure that you all know the historical side of the actual event we're talking about, not just, hey, here's what happens in the film. Now, parts of this film are actually cut in with actual footage from Pearl Harbor on December 7th. So there's some great bits and pieces to look at there. I will warn you, though, if you do have an aversion to blood, this is probably not the movie to watch, especially during the scene and the attack on Pearl Harbor itself. But if you do enjoy a good action movie, this is definitely one I would recommend for you guys. If you have any suggestions for other history-based films for me to watch and review, let me know. Um, that being said, this is the second of our unplanned, unscripted uh, pilot episodes of this week. Feel free to let me know if you liked this one, if you liked the last one, or if you have an idea for a separate one. That being said, thank you for tuning in. I know it's spring break for you Carthaginian folk, but I do appreciate you all interacting with my content and letting me know. Now, that being said, and surprise, this is the first time I'm going to say this in one of my videos, but if you do want to be notified the next time I post a video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. That way you're notified whenever I post a new video. And don't forget to like and share. The only way these videos are going to be shared with more people is if you share them yourselves. So, with that being said, let's go dig further into the past. I'll see y'all next time, historians. Bye, everyone.